Our organization is the Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools, and we are a membership organization that advocates on behalf of charter schools throughout our state. Charter schools are public schools. However, they are allowed to be more flexible in the way they operate. Specifically, they're allowed to set their own curriculum. They do all their hiring and firing. They basically are autonomous public schools. We're celebrating charter schools. Specifically, we're talking about innovation and choice, and that equals success, meaning that when people are allowed to make choices about where they send their children to public school, and when you combine that with being innovative in the delivery of academics to those students, we think that equals success. The theme of our conference is very intentional this year, and again, it's about choice and innovation, and that formula combined equals success. And the idea is that families have the right to make choices about their children's education, probably the most important thing you can do for your child. And you combine that with the ability for a school to be innovative in the way they meet the needs of those students as close to the classroom as possible. Combined, you'll have great schools. And that's what this is all about. And I'm always very clear with the association and our mission. The mission is not to create a bunch of charter schools and take over the world. Although that is what some think we're trying to do. The mission is actually to create great, excellent charter schools, and anything less than that is not acceptable to the association or our membership. And so we work every day for that excellence and that quality, and I think we're making great strides. I think a lot of focus is on New Orleans, as it should be. The growth, the academic growth that city has shown is out of this world amazing. And if you haven't been, please come and see it. But we have 40, 50 other charter schools outside of New Orleans that are also doing amazing work. In fact, today we have some in the room that are celebrating, I think, their 15th year of existence. I think CSAL, Children's Charter School, Glencoe, these have been some of the pace setters for what's going on in charter schools. And they're in far off places. I went to Glencoe earlier this week near New Iberia, sitting in the middle of a sugarcane field, and they're doing incredible things. So I hope you'll seek these people out both as your peers, as charter school leaders, and as stakeholders to congratulate them on the work they've done in this city. I think it's important that you recognize we have over 200,000 students in this state that are currently in schools that are labeled academically failing. Let me say that again. 200,000 students are in schools that are not getting it done. And we need to support those schools to make them better, and there are people like Senator Landrieu from her position that is constantly advocating for that, and we appreciate all that work. She's been one of the strongest advocates for the recovery of the school system in New Orleans, and we found out earlier this week that she was speaking right next door, so I poached and asked her if she would come over and say a few words, and we really appreciate her being here. Please help me welcome Senator Mary Landrieu.
For me, that's so exciting, and in my 5 minutes, I just want to hit just a few highlights that I'd like to share with you all. That is what's so exciting to me about all of us in this room, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, black and white, Hispanic and Asian, all in our hearts committed to believing that we can live and be and create a state where it is true that every child will have an opportunity to reach the God-given talents that he or she has been given at birth. And we're not yet there. We have a long way to go until we can actually say that we are providing, at least through our educational system, a real shot, a true shot, a real opportunity for every child to learn and to be great and to develop into that person that God created them to be.
My heart was broken in the field of education about 10 years ago. And it was in Los Angeles. The superintendent, Roemer, had been the governor of Colorado, was a very sophisticated politician, had come out of retirement to run the LA Unified School District. There was a really good school board at that time that was brave enough to select him. and he was sophisticated at multiple levels. And he started in 1998, and he made an incredible difference over the time he was there. And year by year, he worked on formative instruction. He worked with the teachers union. He developed effective reforms. He developed professional development, coaching, and the test scores responded incredibly. In Los Angeles, which had been one of the lowest performing school districts in California, got better and better and better. And many of us in the philanthropic community supported him. And boy, it was reform at the largest possible scale, the second largest school district in America, changing before our very eyes. It was hope and potential of everything that we could achieve. And then the school board changed. And new school board members came to make a difference. Not to continue the thing that was the incumbent they just beat. And so bit by bit over the last 2 years, and the election cycle went on, he lost his majority, and he was exited, gracefully, but exited. Over the next 4 years, 3 superintendents come in, rapid turnover, and all of those reforms were dismantled. All of the work that he had done taken apart, and of course the results fall back to what they had been. And this cycle of a rise in optimism and then fall is what we see in large-scale urban reform over and over. When Rod Page, our former education secretary, ran Houston, it was doing great. He made a tremendous difference. After his school board, which evolved and he left, it regressed to the mean. And that's why there's always a good market for change superintendents, because there's always districts that need change, because they get a little bit better and then they fall apart. In fact, if you look back in history, you see more and more of this. You all in this room, you are the radicals, because you are dedicated to a new idea, which is the idea that qualified people should be able to start and run a public school.
What needs to happen to improve the experience for students in Louisiana and across this nation is that the students need to be engaged. They need to be engaged by people who know them, people who care about them, and people who love them. Right now in the state of Louisiana, black males have a dropout rate of over 50%. In a parish where I live, the dropout rate for black males is something like 70%. I submit that the medicine that the system is giving, whether it's the reform system or whether the regular system, is not reaching our black and brown males.
After all these years, I've come to value tremendously, more than anything, value the control that people have. A school of 300, 400 kids, as the average charter school across America is. The nature of their ability to control the programming there at the school, they tend to make better decisions when they've got that localized decision-making process.
What does it mean for the student in a charter school?
So in turn, it means that school is going to be suited and that school is going to be geared towards their needs in a way that they don't get in a factory-sized system.
We're an organization that comes in and gives ongoing professional development and coaching to teachers who are in the classroom. We're part of a pilot program that was brought in with New Schools for New Orleans. We're originated out of a charter school in Boston, and our sort of initial idea and what we're piloting is a week at a time coaching for teachers where we're directly in the classroom observing them and then giving them direct feedback. In terms of best practices, I think one of the philosophies that we have is direct feedback. We try and be very honest with our teachers. We also try to give very clear action steps so that our teachers walk away knowing exactly what they can do to improve, and we make it sure that they're clear on how to implement those action steps. So we try not to just say, oh, we noticed that there's a lot of talking in your classroom. We try to say, and here's this, this, and this that you can do to cut down on that and improve your classroom management. So we try to be very action step oriented with our feedback.
What kind of response have you had so far?
From our teachers, it's been, I think, overwhelmingly positive, which has been very gratifying. They have been just very positive towards us, very positive about the support we provided, the training we provided. It's been very gratifying.
The Achievement Network provides interim assessments to schools, and we score and report those 4 times a year. Then what we do is really provide comprehensive coaching to schools about those interim assessments and the scores that we get from those assessments. So we're working with teachers to first plan from standards, then administer the interim assessments. Then once they get those results back, we bring teachers together in what we call a data meeting, where we look at student performance, we look at student learning, and we determine what are teachers' next steps based on the data that they have. And then following that, we end that cycle through reflection about the whole process and about whole teacher practices. And then it repeats itself. So teachers plan, they teach, they look at what students have learned, and they reflect again.
What kind of response have you had? What kind of results?
We've had fantastic results. So nationally, we've been really essentially doubling what a typical school achieves in a year. Here in Louisiana last year, we more than doubled in ELA, and we about doubled in math.
So Leading Educators focuses on developing the leadership development capacities of teacher leaders that are at schools. So we focus on communication skills, project management, as well as adaptive leadership styles.
What kind of results have you seen in the classroom?
Within the Leader Impact projects, our fellows are driving achievement by leveraging the talents of the teams that they work with.
LEAD Pitch stands for Louisiana Education Pitch Competition. It's the first statewide Louisiana pitch competition with a focus on education that's happened. So this is the inaugural event today. We spent the past 3 or 4 months recruiting individuals and innovators and creative minds from across the country to come together today and pitch their new, fresh ideas for fixing some of Louisiana's biggest problems. We have folks from St. Louis and New York and California all together really to tackle these issues and show us their new schools, technologies, and beyond. And we're super excited to have them here and can't wait to announce the winner. It's so important because, you know, charter schools are all about innovation and trying new things. And we're so excited that, you know, we're trying new things not only in the classroom, but integrating the community into the classroom and using new technologies and, you know, using entirely new school methods like something like Thrive. So it's very cool to see all these different avenues of innovation kind of working together and coming together as one to tackle some of the toughest issues like parent engagement, advocacy, finances, and beyond.
What kind of success have charter schools had in Louisiana?
They're actually incredible schools throughout our state. We have 100 charter schools in Louisiana serving about 40,000 people. We have schools as old as 15 years old and as young as 1 year old, and they are showing great success as it comes to academics and improvements in the academic success that our students are having.
What are the keys to success with charter schools compared to a traditional school?
I think a charter school would tell you the key to their success is having the flexibility to make decisions as close to their children in the classroom as opposed to having that traditional form of governance, a school board, a superintendent. Instead, a charter school has a school leader or a principal. They have a board that oversees that school as volunteers, and they make all the decisions about that school.
Our charter schools are like all of our schools. We have some superstars. We have charter schools that set the standard for all schools. We have charter schools. You know, some of our newer ones take a little longer to get the kinds of gains that they're looking for. But overall, the charter schools in Louisiana are outperforming charter schools in any other state in the country. So we know what we're doing with charter schools. We have a very strong, rigorous application process, and so that we want to ensure that charter schools that do start in Louisiana and that do exist and serve the children of Louisiana are great.
Throughout Louisiana and in New Orleans, charter schools have been one of the most progressive, one of the most effective means of ensuring that all children achieve. We've got to lower the barriers to charter school growth, but we've also got to make sure that every child in every school is growing. So charters can serve as a model of that too.
Are you encouraged by what you've seen and heard here today?
Oh, I mean, how can you be in a room full of educators who have the passion that these educators have and not be moved by it? And I'm moved for the future of the state of Louisiana. I'm moved for the future of our kids.
They can go on our website, www.lacharterschools.org, or they can give us a phone call, 504-274-3651.